And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today we are talking about more signings for the Washington Commanders, and so we'll be talking about their most recent signing here in Will Harris. We'll also be looking at a player that potentially the Washington Commanders might want to take a chance on in Michael Gallup, and so we'll be talking about that. And also too, we'll be doing just some more free agency updates here as they actually impact the Washington Commanders. And so let's start here with their recent signing, and that is bringing in safety Will Harrison. So you can see that, Will Harris played for the Saints. Clearly, he's going to be heading to the Washington Commanders now. And the deal that he initially signed, it looks like that it's going to be a 2-year deal worth $8 million, but there could be the potential of $10 million on that. That's going to be, I'm sure, with incentives and things like that. But with Will Harris, he's going to fill a need for this Washington Commanders team. Talked about, really, I thought it was a shock that Jeremy Chinn ended up going elsewhere. He's headed to the Las Vegas Raiders. And so you get a chance to see, he started off with the Detroit Lions here in 2019. Was with the Saints for the one season in 2024. And just looking at his tackles, he had 74 total tackles. He had 54 solos there, but you see that he had the INT as well. And so, this is a guy that I think he's very similar to Jeremy Chinn in the sense that if you look at his tape, I think he's a box safety. So a guy that you can bring up and then really put him into some run support situations. I think that he is certainly going to bring the level of physicality that we want out of the secondary, especially at the safety position. And that's something that the Washington Commanders really need because, that is where we struggled, I think, the most defensively. It was stopping the run. And so that's good that you have a player that can come in and do the similar things. Hopefully he can take off much like Jeremy Chinn did in his season with this. But aside from that, you wonder as far as the coverage standpoint, is he going to be able to, perhaps help us in coverage? I mean, if you look at the tape here, he did make some plays in the secondary, so it's not terrible, but he is certainly going to be tested. But I definitely think that it is a good addition, adding him with Quan Martin. So I think that, he can play either safety position. And I'm super excited the fact that he helps us, especially at the in the defense where we really struggled the most, which is run support. I just think it's going to be an added bonus if we get, some interceptions and things like that from him, some pass deflections and things like that. And so we'll see what happens in the secondary. He's not going to be a guy that's just going to be a ball hawker, but I will give him some credit. Over the last 3 seasons, he has had an INT. And so maybe, again, he gets into this system and he really takes off. And so we'll see what happens, especially if the Washington Commanders get better up front. I've talked about this before. You're going to be able to really generate some pressure up front. That's going to make the quarterback go ahead and obviously, throw off the timing. So they're going to be passing sooner. So you're going to have some opportunities in the secondary. And when you just compare this really to what not Quan Martin, but what Jeremy Chinn was able to do, you see the numbers. I mean, Jeremy Chinn, again, when you look at the solos, 73 solo tackles. He obviously had 117 total, but still, that is not too far off of really what, Will Harris did with the 74 total tackles, 54 solos, but 74 total tackles. And so, I think he's going to obviously get the same amount of numbers. I think that, he gets into our secondary. He's going to be asked to be a little bit more of a run supporter. So I could see that those numbers go up. And then you could just see, with Jeremy Chinn, I mean, his interception totals, he didn't even have any interceptions over the last 2 seasons going into this one. And so you see that Will Harris has already had an interception the last 3 seasons. And so I think that there's an opportunity in which he could get even better here in the secondary. So we'll see how this works out. I think it is a solid signing for the Washington Commanders. I think it certainly fills the need. And I think that, this could be a deal where you look at it, and I think that there's some real value. It doesn't look, as great right now, but I think that there is going to be some value in this deal. And so I think this was a good signing. And so next up, I wanted to go ahead and take a look at a player that the Washington Commanders maybe are linked to, and that is Michael Gallup. All right. And so Michael Gallup, he retired from the NFL. I think it was like a year ago. He was set to be with the Las Vegas Raiders, and he is unretired now. And so what it is like he has a link, obviously, to Coach Quinn. Coach Quinn was there with the Dallas Cowboys when Michael Gallup was there. And just looking at his numbers, look, he had one good year with them, 2019. He had 66 receptions on 113 targets, and he was over 1,000 yards. He was 16.8 was his average, and so it was his best year. He also had 6 touchdowns, and so that was really his best year in the NFL. But, since then, look, he's been injured. The one thing that you do love about him is that the speed was there. He's a bigger receiver. I think he competes, against the secondary for footballs and things like that. I think that there were a lot of times where he caught the football in some tight windows. And so I don't know if he has anything left in the tank. I'm not sure if anything really comes out of this. Obviously, he's visiting because he knows Dan Quinn, but also, too, look, the Washington Commanders also need to, I think, still add a wide receiver, whether it's via the draft or via free agency. And so who knows what happens? Maybe he does have something left in the tank. I'm not sure if the Washington Commanders consider it seriously, but we'll see what happens. But look, over his last couple seasons, since he had that 1,000 yards in 2019, it went down each year because he went to 843, then it was 445, then 424, then 418, and then he did not play with the Vegas Raiders. And so we'll see if the Washington Commanders end up, pursuing a signing here with Michael Gallup. But for right now, he is scheduled for a visit today, and I'm sure we'll find something out later on. And so next up, I wanted to go ahead and just talk about some free agency updates here. And so, look, we've already talked about the Washington Commanders adding Will Harris, but we had another player that is heading elsewhere, and that is offensive tackle Cornelius Lucas. It looks like that he's heading to the Cleveland Browns, 2 years up to $10 million. And so, look, that is, another one of these signings where it could have went either way. I think that Cornelius Lucas, I think he did a very good job for us. And look, it's tough. I think the Browns definitely need, somebody out there to pass protect. And so I think that they are getting a player that's certainly going to help them out. Would not have mind bringing Cornelius Lucas back. I think that, look, he was part of just what the Washington Commanders were able to do up front. And so we'll see what happens moving forward. I definitely think that the Washington Commanders took a huge step moving forward with their offensive line and really solidifying that a little bit more and making that more solid around Jaden Daniels. So we'll see what happens with Tunsil, and we'll see if the Washington Commanders do end up adding another free agent on the offensive line. Do they go out and maybe still draft one? I think that is still very much a possibility as well. And so just to give you a quick update here about, a Commander that is on the move, that is not going to be back with us next season. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you think here. Do you think that the Washington Commanders should go out and sign Michael Gallup off of the potential of him maybe getting back to his 1,000-yard form? And then also, too, what do you think, about this signing here of Will Harris? Do you feel like that, look, Will Harris, he's a guy that maybe he can come in and he can give us something a lot like what Jeremy Chin did a year ago? I think that this is a real value signing here. And then also, too, what do you guys think about the recent news that Cornelius Lucas is no longer going to be with the Washington Commanders? So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And as we always say, go Commanders, and I will see you in the next one. All right, peace.